Good morning, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Sippin' Sports. My name is Dalton Holland. I'm joined by my lovely co-host, my boy, KJ McCoy.
What's going
Chris
on,
is not
guys?
with us once again. He is, I think, is he working or is
No,
he? Yeah,
he's
he's working,
still in
right?
Hershey. He's at Hershey Park, having a good old time. He just came back from he was at where you were at recently at the Morgan Wallen concert. So Morgan Wallen's been a big topic here in the Pennsylvania area. I mean, first he was in Hershey, and now he's at Citizens Bank Park today. So he's a big
I
topic.
will say, too, with Morgan Wallen, I know Chris had to go through it as well. It was an absolute chaos. Shout out to Chaos Chris, but it was
Yeah,
chaos, hence the name, getting out of there. It was ridiculous. That's probably why I don't go to concerts as much as I say I don't. But
yeah,
at least for our Philly sports teams, KJ, I'll battle out the traffic. I'll deal with the pain
yeah.
because,
FYI, guys, this guy's allergic to traffic. He's allergic.
yes,
Like
I hate
he
traffic.
starts sneezing and everything. It gets bad. It's
But
bad.
for our Phillies right now, I would sit in traffic. I would sit on 95 because this
Yeah.
team is rocking along. Last night, I feel like every time I don't watch every Phillies game. KJ knows that. I probably watch one out of every four Phillies games, I would say. So probably 25% of the games. Every time I turn it on, though, something good happens. Like
Yeah.
the last game I watched before the one last night, which was a great win. Rojas, I believe, got his second home run.
Yeah.
Harper's leading the team. He's hot again. Like the Phillies are really, really good baseball team right now. Like bask in it, guys. Like enjoy it.
Yeah.
Because before you know it, the season will be over. And like I thought about it the other day. The Eagles
Yeah.
for 10 weeks, we sat in that golden era. And then we fell flat on our face. So enjoy it is what I'm trying to say right now. But back to the main point. Phillies are rocking along. Every time I turn on the TV, something good happens. Before this game, KJ, last night, the last game I watched was the stay loose, stay sexy game. So
Okay.
I'm just saying, I might be a good luck charm for the Phillies. Rocking along, Rojas getting his bat.
Yep.
I mean, the whole team.
Castellanos.
Cassie gets one last night. How
Yep.
you feeling?
I'm feeling great. I mean, we're 27-12 now, and we have the best record in baseball right now. So, yeah, we're feeling good, and it's great to say that we are number one at the moment. But we just got to keep it going, and hopefully we don't get onto a dry spell. But right now, you got a team right now who's playing a team right now. A red hot team's playing a very cold team in the Florida. I about to call them Florida, but they are in Florida. The Miami Marlins. I mean, they're like second in the National League right now, second worst. Like that's how bad they are. I mean, there's been many bad years of being Marlins fans. That's why no one shows up to their park anymore, and also because they just don't have any fans. But what I'm trying to say is, yeah, this team is red hot. I love what I'm seeing from Ranger Suarez. He was dominant, and he's undefeated in all of his pitching starts. I mean, he's been sensational. I mean, right now, I keep on hearing from a bunch of my good friends, including Chris as well. Like Ranger Suarez is looking like a Cy Young pitcher right now. He is phenomenal. And yeah, as you said before, Rojas got a homer last night. Castellanos got a homer for his late and great dog. He had a boxer that passed away. So Castellanos has been known for when some tragedies happen, he comes in the clutch. He does. So there's been many opportunities where he comes up in the clutch and some kind of tragedy happens. So that's what he did, and he said he felt really good. I remember he said in the post game, he says, "I feel really good. I'm not just swinging at everything. I'm taking my time. I'm being more patient, and I'm really just trying to get back to my groove and everything like that." So that's what we need from him. And that's great to hear because if we get everybody hitting, which we already are, I mean, sky's the limit for this team. This team could keep this going, and we could be right now at the pace we are. We could see this team get 100 wins, and we haven't seen that in a good while. So that would be great to just literally not be just a wild card team, but to actually win our division would be amazing because then we don't even have to worry about the wild card and just like maybe slipping in or whatever. Like this team is that dominant, the pitching's that dominant, the hitting's that dominant that they're getting it done, even without Trey Turner as well. They are getting it done. So I love to see it.
They are. And I don't know if you saw the story this morning, speaking of Trey Turner. An old lady apparently got scammed out of $50,000.
I saw that. I
Saying that
heard
they
about
were
that.
Trey Turner. So
I don't know how you
that
get.
just puts, I think, the whole new. You see the other correlating article this week in Philly sports. Shout out to our boy Johnny Clark. That Philadelphia fans are the most loyal fans in sports. So maybe loyal to a fault is what I'm trying to say.
I don't know how that lady would think
with
that.
what $300 million contract somebody's going to need 50 grand.
I'm about to say, why would that lady think that Trey Turner of all people would need a donation of money or her life savings or anything like that? Like, I don't know, but maybe she was just feeling really generous and she was doing it for the fightins, as our boy Ballpark Tommy would say, do it for the fightins, Dutch, do it for the fightins. So maybe
So and besides that, besides the lady being loyal to a T, the Phils are also, I think, the best team in baseball right now. They seem to be consistent. Everybody's playing good baseball, like you just alluded to a second ago. Specifically, I want to take a second to recognize Alec Boehm because I think throughout the season, he has been somebody who's been extremely consistent. He's taken a lot of pride in his offseason, I think, this year.
Yeah.
And what he did with that. Like that time that he spent, you can see the dude physically beefed up. But not only did he like physically beef up like a lot of these players do in the offseason, it's like, okay, cool, you got stronger. What is that going to do? These are translating into results for Philadelphia fans. These are runs. These are home runs. Points that are being scored because of the steps that Alec Boehm took to make sure that he could be the player that the Phillies need him to be. I'm very excited to see the contract that this young man is going to get this year because, you know, they went through that whole arbitration thing. But I really do think that the Phillies could keep this up. You see all the fans, every time that the Phillies sweep a team, I post the meme. I can't get enough of it, KJ, because it's like, for me, it's just so appetizing. It's like, I'm not going to go through the whole thing. Shard, shout out to Shard, has it queued up. But every time that the Phillies win, that's how we all feel. And point being, you have the D-bags in the comments. Oh, it's the White Sox. Oh, it's the Rockies. Like,
well, you just swept the Giants too. So I mean, like,
it's the Giants.
There's multiple teams that we've swept.
And we're not just sweeping them. Like, if you look at some of the scores of these games, it's like it's a very big margin. It's an ass whooping.
It's annihilation. It's annihilation.
Yeah, it's a violation. The Phillies are doing what they're supposed to be doing, beating teams' asses. And you want to have other opposing fans in the comments that are like, "Oh, you shouldn't be doing this. Oh, congratulate!" Like, shut up. Let us have our moment. You know what I mean? Like, you other fans, like, relax. Like, Phillies are doing what they're supposed to be doing. Don't be mad that your team isn't, because I'll tell you what. Last year, it took us a lot longer to get to that many sweeps. I think even one sweep, it took us that long to get to. So I'm proud of this Phillies team this year. And I say, like, if you're a Phillies player, quiet down the outside noise right now, because none of that shit matters. The only thing that matters is the way that you guys are swinging those bats, which is beautiful.
Oh, they don't worry about the outside noise. I mean, these guys, and we've said this before, these guys, and JT said it best, like, this team, there was only like one real move with this team that happened, and the guy isn't even a starter, and that's Whit Merrifield. And then also you got some pitchers as well in the bullpen, like Turnbull as well. But this team, though, is so connected right now, and they want vengeance. I mean, last year they lost a 3-1 lead, and they let the Diamondbacks come back in that series. Like, they want vengeance. And they know what it takes to get to a World Series. They did it. They did it when no one thought they can do it. And now, since they're actually like a good team this time, and like during the regular season, man, like, imagine when they get in the playoffs and they just keep on dominating and having the same kind of eye of the tiger in them, dude. They can go all the way. They really can. So I'm so pumped. I'm excited, and yeah, let's keep it rolling, boys. Let's keep it rolling. Let's go.
I love the way you put it. I mean, I just hope that it keeps up. That's the hardest part for the Phillies, but I'm not going to be the person that jinxes it either, because, you know, you have those fans that are like, this won't keep up. Why even say that? Why even like put that out there? Just let it keep going. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. I say it all the time. Good morning, Sam Nelson. How are you doing? Welcome to the show. Appreciate you last night joining on the Phillies post-game show for us stepping up. Did a great job stepping up to the plate on that, no pun intended. But, I mean, the Phillies are they're an entertaining team right now.
Right.
And that's what Philadelphia needs. There's not much going on right now in sports, in Philly sports, in all sports for all people, but in Philly sports too. I mean, the NFL is very quiet. The Sixers just got knocked out. The Flyers are done. So it's really the Phillies are our only thing that we can cling to. And they're delivering. They're giving us everything that we want. They're showing us what we want. And I just can't get enough of it.
Yeah. They are moving and grooving. So I love to see it. So hopefully we have another Dalton sweep video coming out for the Marlins. And I know we'll hear the people in the comments. It's the Marlins. They only have 10 wins. What are you celebrating for? Because we get to sweep teams. You know what? It's fun. So you know what? You can sweep away your freaking negative comments and get that out of here. So you know what? Just knock it off.
That's very, very true. Yeah, I don't want to hear shit about the Marlins, honestly, because the Marlins for so long owned the Phillies. Like the Phillies were supposed to beat the Marlins, like especially when me and Tommy were in college at St. Joe's. I felt like every time I would go to a Phillies game, we would go to the game and it was the same routine. I would get excited. I would put a DraftKings bet in before the game. Phillies money line. I'm going to the game, $25. And it was always against the Marlins. The Phillies were always favored against the Marlins pretty much. And every single time I was let down and sad.
Yeah.
And then I'm like double out of I'm listening to the ballpark scream his head off. And then I'm losing money. Like, what the hell am I doing here? This is not fun. Shout out to ballpark though. But every game I feel like we went to throughout college, the Phillies played the Marlins and the Marlins owned the Phillies. So to see the Phillies just beat the shit out of the Marlins is very refreshing. Yeah. Sorry if that's not a good thing to say.
And hopefully Dalt's been getting some bets and winning some bets right now. So hopefully you are. So
yes,
turning the table for you.
Man, I don't bet a lot this time of the year. I'll bet if I go to the Phillies game like in person, because I'm there. It's like an experience. It's like a treat, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
I don't really bet on the MLB though every day like that. Like NFL season, every Sunday, you better bet I have a 6-leg parlay down. And I'm hitting on those 6-leg parlays. Like I hit 3 of them, I think, this year throughout the year, and I make 1 every Sunday. So 3 out of 18. That's not bad. For a parlay. Like these are 6-leggers. So it's like you put down $10, you win like $600, $700. Like big,
it's easier to bet on football, I feel like.
But NFL, I know my shit. When it comes to MLB, no. But point being, real quick, if you guys do bet, please be sure to download the Sharps app. Use code 302D866 when signing up. It's an awesome place that you guys can track and tell your friends bets. So you see these stories a lot of times about people that will buy the same stocks that politicians buy. You can do the same things that kind of Sharps does, with their best bettors. So if you are okay, I don't know anything about this sport, but I want to just follow the best better, stats wise, it'll literally show you on the app people that are the best betting in that sport. And you can just track and literally click a button in the app that will open up the same exact bet in DraftKings, and you can just make money off. Everybody wins. It's pretty cool. What's not pretty cool, KJ? What Chip Kelly did to some of these players. It all comes out this week on the 2510 show. And to say that Deshaun Jackson and LaShawn McCoy ripped into Chip Kelly would be an understatement. Some of these stories and some of these things that we heard, making players cut their hair, I guess you could say assumption, but not really assumption because it's seeming more and more like a fact that Chip Kelly hates black players.
Yeah.
I mean, making players cut their hair, man, so you can be more like LaShawn, that's pretty bad.
Yeah.
Making Michael Vick cry more than he cried in prison. That's a bold take. And the thing is that makes this make more and more sense. So I don't even want to say assumption anymore. I just want to say more matter of the fact is you see Shady and Deshaun Jackson calling up these players sitting in the chair.
Yeah.
And it's not just randoms. It's the bodyguard, Jason freaking Peters.
Yeah.
Brandon Graham, who's still on the team right now. And the thing that got me the most, KJ, the thing that really pissed me off the most is hearing that Chip Kelly tried to trade away Brandon Graham and Jeffrey Lurie stepped in. Jeffrey Lurie, thank you for stepping in. But Jeffrey Lurie, also fuck you for not stepping in about LaShawn McCoy and Deshaun Jackson. I love you, man, but where the hell were you then? Like, when I heard that, and I know, obviously, like, the fans love Jeffrey Lurie. I love him too. But when I heard that, Jeff, I was pretty mad at you, man. I'm not going to lie as a fan. I hope you understand where I'm coming from. People make mistakes. That was a big one. LaShawn McCoy and Deshaun Jackson. Like, from just a business standpoint, those are your two biggest jersey sellers. As kids, there's not two bigger people that we looked up to more than Shady and D-Jax. Maybe Macklin was up there too, but it was them really for us.
Oh, for sure.
When Vic came into the picture, when, Selleck was there too, it was mainly those two guys. Those were their two main jersey sellers. So Brandon Graham kind of surprised me, because I'm glad that it happened. I thank you for doing that. Like, that was a great move, Jeffrey Lurie, saving a half, because the picture that's hung up back there is of Brandon Graham stripping the ball out of Tom Brady's hands. Wouldn't have the Super Bowl without that. That was a genius move. My question to Jeffrey Lurie and ownership as a whole, why Brandon Graham and not LaShawn McCoy and Deshaun Jackson? And KJ, if you want, you can answer it too, but it's like, at the time, if I'm not wrong, correct me if I'm wrong, wasn't Brandon Graham not at the same, like, I feel like Deshaun Jackson and LaShawn McCoy were better at their position. Brandon Graham became like that top dog at his position right before the Super Bowl, like 2016, 2015, 2017. He was that guy. 2014, 2013. I don't even know if he was there in 2013. I think he got drafted that year, if not 2014. He was
drafted in 2010.
Wow. So he was there.
I believe 2010, maybe 2011. He's been there for a long time. He was, at one point, he was number 54, and then he switched to 55. So I do.
And he was always consistent. But the last thing I want to say, and tell me if you disagree with this or not, would you think that it's fair to say about Brandon Graham that he was like, I don't want to say a late bloomer, because he was always consistent, but he came into his own later in his career, like fine wine. You know what I mean? Like, he really perfected his craft as he got older. And that was why I was kind of confused. Like, why Brandon Graham and why not D-Jax or Shady, or at least one of them?
Yeah, I agree. I do feel like we did see the prime Pro Bowl defensive end of Brandon Graham really in 2017. And that's really when we really saw the impact that Brandon Graham has left on this team. It's really hard to really, I guess you could say, judge a defensive player so much in general, comparing them to an offensive player, because offensive, I mean, you just think about it. Offense scores points. Defense, you don't really score points. So that's where I think it's like, that's where I was like, okay, like you can compare them and stuff like that. But then also it's like, yeah, they're totally different positions. And I think, when those trades happened, when you trade away a guy like Deshaun Jackson, you released LaShawn McCoy, I think that's where Jeffrey Lurie did start to be like, okay, I'm stepping in. I gave this guy too much power. I really did. And I made a video about the whole Chip Kelly scandal scenario and what's going on and my reaction to it. And I'm going to explain some more as well. Pretty much when Chip Kelly was here, and if you guys weren't following the Eagles back then, if you don't know what happened, it was pretty much this guy came from Oregon. He was the head coach of the Oregon Ducks, and he came over as the head coach. But then they had a pretty good season that year. Nick Foles, I think that year they played the Raiders, and he actually beat like an NFL record for, I believe, throwing 7 touchdowns, if I'm not mistaken, in one game. So that was in the Hall of Fame for a little bit. And then I think someone broke it after that, not too long after. But that was a crazy game. I don't know if you remember that game, Dalton. That was in Oakland at the Oakland Coliseum, where we went off on the Raiders, and Deshaun Jackson was going off. Even Riley Cooper, just all these players were stepping up. Everybody was on fire. And that was with Chip Kelly's offense. And I really thought, like, even though I'm not too fond of this guy, right away, the introduction press conference, I got this weird feeling in my gut about this guy, Chip Kelly, that he was different. And he was coming into an organization where, I mean, they had Andy Reid for so many years and they were so successful. So he had a lot of pressure on him. And then he just really took that pressure and was like, yeah, you know what? I don't see it at all. And I'm just going to do it my way. And they gave him the GM job, which is a big problem. And it became an issue as well. And he had too much power. And he really did turn into a dictatorship and started judging people and everything like that. People don't even realize this too. He's the one who released Raheem Mostert. He's the one who released him. And then he went on to some other teams, and you saw him play for the Niners and play for some other teams as well. So he just made a lot of moves that just were head scratchers. I mean, the Raheem Mostert move was not really a head scratcher back then because he wasn't really known, but then later it was. And it's crazy because LaShawn McCoy was the all-time rushing leader for the Eagles, and you traded him away. And then that was where I was freaking out. 15-year-old, I think 15, 14-year-old me, I was freaking out because, yeah, as you said before, these guys were key players for us. And to hear that LaShawn McCoy and Deshaun said when he first started as Eagles head coach, he said, none of you guys are starters yet. We're all resetting. I'm pressing the reset button. That's where I was like, okay, that's fucked. That's really fucked. You don't do that. These guys have actually proven, and they've already made their name public. Like they've put
They're NFL players.
Yeah, they're NFL players, and they've already made a name across the league. Like they're Pro Bowlers, and you're stripping that away from them and saying, you know what? You're going back all the way back to day one. It's like this. Okay, so you're in 5th grade, and then you fail, like you get an F. Okay, you're going all the way back to preschool. That's how it pretty much is. I'm sending you down the street to the nearest preschool, and you have to be all there with all the little 2-year-olds and 3-year-olds. That's what it's like. So he did the whole reset button. He tried to see what he could do. And then he went into this crazy thing, this college fantasy thing of like, okay, I'm trading all these players away. Let's get all these players that I could never get at Oregon because they didn't trust me at Oregon. They'll trust me in the NFL. You have a QB room that consists of Sam Bradford, Mark Sanchez, and Tim Tebow. Dalton, tell me if I'm wrong. Did any of those guys really have any successful NFL careers? No. All 3 of them were bust. All 3 of them were bust. The guy was just delusional, and then the Niners picked him up, and thank God they took him. But I think they also got they didn't make the mistake.
It was a season or 2, right, that he was there. And they were like, fuck this.
Yeah.
We see what Philly means. This guy's a nutcase. Like, he is a nutcase. I think Chip Kelly may have success, as Siegel's saying, like, offensive coordinator-wise. You need to make sure to keep him away from your personnel, your players. Like, if Chip Kelly's my offensive coordinator, go fucking sit up in the fucking box. Like, get up in your fucking cage, Chip. You hear me? Yeah. Like, get up there. Like, don't be down here on the field with, like, in the bullpen, messing up all the bullshit. You know what I mean? Like, this is where the magic happens. And seriously, I don't think, all jokes aside, Chip Kelly is not at that point where he can control himself. He does not know how to talk to people. And it's not like it's a way to treat people kind of thing. It's not like that. It's not a language thing. It's not a smart thing. He's a very intelligent guy. He doesn't know how to treat human beings.
Nope.
That's the problem. Yeah. And football is a team sport. Yeah. Anybody in these comments, anybody here who's here today, who's played football, who's done it before, knows how vital everybody being on the same vibe, everybody being working for the same goal, all of that. Yeah. And Chip Kelly just always put himself first. And that was kind of why it sucked.
And it seemed like he always wanted to press the reset button.
Ohio State offensive coordinator after leaving his own terms being the head coach. He has eyes on the NFL. Hopefully he can go to Dallas and ruin them.
That would be awesome. Oh my God. That would make me so happy. I mean, you don't even know. Like, I would crack up. Like, I don't even know. You might have to call a hospital because I'd be laughing that much that my laugh box would burst out. I'd be bursting tears, dude. It would be so funny to see him in Dallas. Oh my gosh. But I don't think any NFL team is going to take a chance on him. If any NFL team does, they are a boneheaded
Maybe the Falcons will.
organization. Yeah, maybe they will. I mean, yeah, they have an old owner who doesn't really know what he's doing.
It seems like he doesn't know what his
Cousins.
GMs are doing, and his GMs don't know what they're doing, and nobody's communicating there. So that whole Falcons organization is nuts. But wrapping up on Chip Kelly, I mean, do you have anything else you want to say before we move along to the next topic?
Chip, if you're watching, have a horrible day. We freaking hate you. I hope if you ever play Temple or whatever Philly team, we can lose by 40. I don't give a crap, but I hope they let the fans bring eggs in, rotten eggs, the most smelliest freaking eggs, and give you the Eagles duck treatment. They chuck the eggs at you, and me and Dalton will be right there and ballpark, and we'll be chucking freaking rotten eggs at you. Freaking ostrich eggs, freaking alligator eggs, the most stinkiest freaking eggs, and you will smell like shit because you are shit. So that's what I say about it.
He's such a bad human being. Yeah. I think that my only rant and the last thing I have to say about this is all I remember when Chip Kelly left Philadelphia was the video that really popped EDP off as an influencer.
What's up with
Chip Kelly? Get the fuck out of Philly, cuz. And he had like his tongue out. Really sad to see how both of those people kind of turned out, because that did not work out for the best, but is what it is.
Well,
so now our next topic, talked about some people that we don't necessarily agree with. Now we're going to talk about some athletes and some signings we don't necessarily agree with. So that you guys are aware, the prompt for this topic, I'm going to let KJ go first here in a second. But the question was, who are your worst Philly sports athlete signings or free agency acquisitions, whatever you want to call that? So I wouldn't necessarily call it drafting a player. Yeah. I would call it, okay, this player either was a free agent or was, you know, their agent approached us and wanted to sign, something like that. So KJ, without further ado, let's get your top 5 from 5 to 1, please.
Let's go. So at number 5, all right, let me pull up the list quickly. I have the list right here. All right, at number 5, we have Phillies pitcher who came off the year of winning the World Series with the Chicago Cubs, Jake Arrieta. I remember that guy was hyped up to be a great pitcher for us. My boy Josh Siegel would know way more about it. But yes, I know that Jake Arrieta, I remember people being so pissed that he did not work out here, because we thought for sure he was going to be a great pitcher for us with that struggling Phillies team we had for 11 years. So it was a long time till we got to this point in 2022 where we finally made it back to the playoffs and made it to the World Series. So Jake Arrieta, I believe that was in 2016, something like that. He was a legit bum pitcher. And then at number 4, I have, as somebody said in the comments, and shout out to his comment went somewhere. I don't know where. Oh, Joseph Havens, DeMarco Murray, number 4 on my list. DeMarco Murray was also a guy that was part of Chip Kelly's college fantasy NFL transition team of the future, whatever the freak. Yeah, DeMarco Murray was one of those guys. He believed in him. I thought that was going to be the only good move that Chip Kelly would actually do here, and it was a disaster. I know some people were saying that, Saquon Barkley is going to be your next DeMarco Murray. It's a totally different situation, totally different kind of player, and yeah, that's not going to happen. And Chip Kelly's also not the coach, so Chip Kelly was the worst coach for DeMarco Murray, and it showed for sure. All right, number 3. Now, this is very recent. Tobias Harris. Yeah, I think right now you could say Tobias Harris is one of the worst signings ever. Tobias Harris over me, as Jimmy Butler said. Honestly, dude, I can't believe how much frustration this man, Tobias Harris, has given us. He has not shown up in playoff games. He has not shown up in the regular seasons. He's went off and on. One day he scores 20 points. The next day he scores 4 points. The guy's a bum, and I swear, if the Sixers, for some reason, and it was good, I'll tell you, it's a little bit relieving to hear that he's not going to be a focal point for re-signing this summer. When I heard from Daryl Morey, but Tobias Harris will not.
Whatever the hell a focal point means. That their verbiage, a focal point. He won't be a focal point.
Focal point. Like, oh my God. So thank God he's not going to be back here. Hopefully not. You know what? It might be 98% chance that he will not be back here, but there's still 2% chance he will, and me and Dalton will be running through a wall. All right, but let's get into number 2 and number 1. Number 2, one of my most hated Philadelphia athletes ever. And Dalton, remember, I don't know if you remember this, Dalton, when we were at Philly Sports Guys event and I saw Kyle Carberry rocking his jersey, I freaked out. I said, dude, throw that shit in the trash. Nnamdi Asomugha. Oh my God, this guy was trash. I was excited to get him. I remember me and my brother got his jersey. We were so pumped and we were ready. We were feeling the Nnamdi Asomugha. We were feeling the dream team hype like everybody else was, where Vince Young called us a dream team. That guy was a certified bum. I remember the one game where I remember he did horrible, and I know he maybe had a pick 6 or a pick in that game. The Eagles were playing the Cardinals at home. I don't know if you remember this guy, Dalton. We lost to a guy named J.J. Skelton. J.J. Skelton. I mean, that was their quarterback. He was a third backup quarterback, and we lost to him with Nnamdi Asomugha at corner and also Dominique Rodgers-Cromartie at the other side of the corner. So that sucked. I hated Nnamdi Asomugha. I will always not like him, and I hope he never steps foot here in Philly. And number one, and I actually got to meet this guy, and I saw the whole disaster and this bizarre whole thing go down. Andrew Bynum, number 1. Andrew Bynum is the worst signing, in my opinion, in Philly sports history. Now, he was a trade. It was a big 4-team trade. It was the big Dwight Howard trade, which actually sent away Andre Iguodala and got us Andrew Bynum. Dude, Andrew Bynum, we never got to see him play a single game as a Sixer. Never, ever. We never did. He had a stupid bowling injury where his clumsy ass apparently was bowling and hit it on his knee. He was like, oh, man, my knee. Oh, no. And, dude, but this is what we heard. But I'll tell you this. I was at the King of Prussia Mall, and I saw a guy with an afro. Well, my mom did first. My mom said, hey, Kyle, I just saw some guy with an afro. I think it was Dr. J. My dad was right there. He said, it was not Dr. J, Susie. It was not Dr. J. And I looked back, and I was like, wait, that's Andrew Bynum. And I started racing towards him. And I was like, yo, Andrew Bynum. And I'm like, aren't you supposed to be at the game? This was a home game. There was a home game at the Sixers game. And he was like, yeah, I'm just taking a break. Taking a break? You haven't even started yet. What are you talking about? And then I was like, can I get a picture? And he says, oh, I really got to go. He looked at his watch. He had a watch on, like one of those old watches. He looked at it, or one of those newer watches, whatever you want to say, for rich people. Then he darts. And I'm like, he's not even stumbling. Like, he was walking like he could walk down a basketball court. He's one of the biggest frauds. And I literally was like, dude, I wish I recorded my phone, because it showed that he was just running down the mall and he was fine. You could do the same thing on the basketball court. But the guy, I don't know why. Maybe he had some problems off the court, because I don't know if you remember, he started making his hair look like a chia pet. I don't know if you remember that. Oh my gosh, it looked bad. Remember on the sidelines, he had the freaking, he slicked his afro and he looked like a chia pet, dude. Oh my gosh. Like, I actually wanted to get a chia pet Andrew Bynum. That would have been hilarious.
So read off these 5 for me real quick one more time. McCoy's worst 5.
So number 5, Jake Arrieta. Number 5, Jake Arrieta. Number 4, DeMarco Murray. Number 3, Tobias Harris. Nnamdi Asomugha. And number 1, Andrew Bynum.
Oh, you had a nickname for almost all of them. That was pretty good.
Yep, that's right.
All right, my list is pretty similar. I love this topic, and shout out to KJ for suggesting it. But if I had to give you guys a rundown of my worst 5, number 5 for me, DeMarco Murray. I wanted to put him higher on this list, but I don't know if you guys remember in the last game, I think Chip Kelly was still our coach and DeMarco Murray was there. DeMarco Murray finally busted a long run. It was like a 50-yard touchdown. I remember he was in a white jersey. It was an away game. And it was like, finally, like fucking finally. Like we knew he was a good player. He went to Tennessee and balled out the next 2 seasons.
Yeah, he did okay there.
Yeah, he did great, I think, for what he was expected to do.
Yeah.
And just the whole DeMarco Murray free agent signing got me so excited because that was the first year I really got into Madden. I really got into football. He was coming from the Cowboys, very similar to Saquon. It was like, he wasn't Saquon because Saquon is more proven than him, but he was like the best running back in the league at that time. And it was exciting. So for him to fall flat on our face, you can't even put him, not on this list. I might have coulda, woulda, shoulda done a dishonorable mentions list where we could have put people that are dishonorable mentions, but
yeah,
it is what it is.
All right. Another topic for another day.
Number 4. This one is going to take some of you guys back. A lot of people forget about Byron Maxwell.
Oh, yeah.
And how much of a letdown that guy was. When he came from Seattle, from the Legion of Boom, he was supposed to be this lockdown corner, this guy that was going to be that cornerback we needed. I'm sorry, Havens. I don't want to, take you through the flashbacks again, buddy. But Maxwell was just seriously supposed to be like this elite shutdown corner. This guy, if you put him in man-to-man, you were going to get dusted every freaking time. And the part that kind of sucks, once again, like DeMarco Murray, he goes to a team after and plays decently or better than expected. He went to the Dolphins, played better than expected for a little bit. So it's like, it just pisses you off as an Eagles fan because it's like, is it us? Is it them? Is it a combination of the two? Probably. So 5 for me, DeMarco Murray. 4 for me, Byron Maxwell. 3, Jake Arrieta. You basically took all the words out of my mouth. I mean, I think he was a little bit older when the Phillies signed him too. And what I read online is I think he won the Cy Young the year before. So like we were really expecting to get like this guy and he just sucked. So you took all the words out of my mouth with that, KJ. 2, Nnamdi for me. I was very excited as a kid when Nnamdi was going to come here, and he was expected to be so good. It would be like the Eagles signing Jalen Ramsey, kind of like the equivalent today. Like when he was leaving the Jaguars, like that kind of equivalency. Not today, like where he's at, where he's older. It was like, okay, wow, this guy's going to be like the next, like, okay, just as a shutdown corner to whatever team he goes to until he's like 32, 33 years old, which is insane to do in the NFL. So 2, Nnamdi. 3, Jake Arrieta. 4, Byron Maxwell. 5, DeMarco Murray. And number 1, everybody. Number 1 for me. I love Haven saying that Nnamdi was only good at Madden because I don't disagree with that. Number 1, Tobias Harris.
Yep.
This is going to be something that we look back on for years now to come as like what ruined this Sixers core. What could have been with this? It's this contract. Now that like the smoke is cleared, Sixers fans can see it was the Tobias Harris contract. You hear the stuff all the time, Tobias Harris over me, and that's true to an extent. But I do want to say that at this point, the Sixers, like, it wasn't necessarily all Tobias or Jimmy. It was kind of like the Sixers only had so much money that they could spend too. So I want to just make that clear as well, because I think if all could have went well, why wouldn't you have kept Jimmy Butler? Everybody knew that. I just think financially it didn't work out, and the Sixers picked the wrong guy. They thought that they were doing the right thing by not investing in like 2 players, more investing in like a core and then going for a guy that could be like there for years to come. And Tobias just goose-egged. He goose-egged in the playoffs. He fell flat on his face. This is flat out the worst signing in Philadelphia sports to me. This is going to be what killed the core of our Sixers these years.
And well, it was also, I feel like a Brett Brown decision. Really, Brett Brown did not really get along with Jimmy Butler. I remember they were really always butting heads. Brett Brown really believed in Ben Simmons. I mean, they both were tied with Australia. So he was really like a believer in Ben Simmons and really being the future of the squad. And then obviously, the whole things with Ben Simmons. I wouldn't say that's why he's not on the list, because he wasn't a trade that we got.
Yeah, he was a
We
draft.
drafted him. So that would be for a different day. Oh, because we could probably do a 50.
Wow, that would be a long list. The
That'd be a
Eagles have
long
muffed a
thing, but
lot of draft picks.
It's a good topic to choose for sure, because there's a lot of bad draft picks that just did not work out in Philadelphia sports. I mean, we hyped them up and they just didn't work out. But yeah, I think the main reason that Jimmy Butler did not sign back here or even get like an opportunity to come back here is really because of just him butting heads with Brett Brown and really trying to stand up to Brett Brown and his system and everything like that and be like, hey, this is not going to work. And he was trying to put his input in it. And Brett Brown didn't like that. So Tobias was
Jimmy
more
didn't want to
reserved.
come back too. You know what I mean? Like you're alluding to.
Tobias was more reserved, and he just was like, okay, like he was getting some points. He was getting 20 plus points. And for some reason you were like, oh, he's on the cusp of being an all-star caliber player. But that's the problem with Tobias. I mean, Tobias, you already had some all-star players. So why did you even need him in the first place? So that's where I was like really shocked when they did that. And it was upsetting, and it's going to be upsetting. And as Dalton said, we will look back at this for years later. Like Tobias is probably the worst signing for sure.
Oh my God. Yeah. So my worst 5, I'll just say it one more time so you guys can get the list. And then of course might make a TikTok out of it. My worst 5 free agents in Philly sports signing history. DeMarco Murray, number 5. Byron Maxwell, number 4. Jake Arrieta, number 3. Nnamdi Asomugha, number 2. And number 1, the guy who just killed our Sixers. Tobias Harris. Oh my God. That was horrible, dude. That was just by what he did to us, that to fall flat on our face like that. Like, there's no hope for Sixers fans anymore. Jack said at the beginning of the year, Matt got us kind of excited this year.
Yeah.
He got me excited at least. And Jack called it. Jack said, I'm not investing anything emotionally in this team until they make it to the finals.
It's every time, dude. We get trapped into this, and we believe in the hype. If you think about it, we honestly are the Dallas Cowboys of the NBA. If you think about it, we get into this hype. We're like, this is our year. You know what? Joel is going to do it. Joel is pretty much, if you think about it, and I'm sorry, Cowboys fans. I know I'm going to get a bunch of Cowboys fans at me, but I got love for some of you guys. But right now, Joel Embiid is pretty much the Dak Prescott of the NBA, because he has proven that he's a good player. But then when it comes down to the playoffs, when it comes down to the big games, they don't do it. That's just how it is.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
Yeah.
These comparisons were great, and once again, I want to thank KJ for suggesting this topic. This one was a whole bunch of fun. So once again, I'll just flash up if anybody's joining up KJ's top 5 as well. Yeah. So go ahead and read them off, KJ.
Number 5, we had Jake Arrieta. We had number 4, DeMarco Murray. Number 3, Tobias Harris. Nnamdi Asomugha, number 2, and Andrew Bynum. Yep, that is my list for top 5 worst Eagles trade acquisitions. I mean, not Eagles, Philadelphia sports trade acquisitions.
Trade acquisitions, that's the best way to put it. I'll read them all for anybody that's just joining them. We're going to wrap up the show. My worst 5, DeMarco Murray, Byron Maxwell, Jake Arrieta, Nnamdi Asomugha, and as KJ McCoy wisely said, Tobias Harris.
Yep, Tobias.
That's all we got for you guys today. I mean, KJ, do you have anything else?
Pretty much it. And screw you, Chip Kelly. Screw you.
Yeah, bud. If you guys haven't, please check out the 2510 show. We obviously all, as fellow podcasters and Eagles fans, have a ton of respect for those two players and what they do.
They gave Dalton a shout out. I don't know if you
guys
did.
Saw that.
Yeah, they did.
Well, I commented as a true fan on the show when they posted it, and I said this should have never happened. It really shouldn't have. And you guys can go check out the comment by giving them a follow at the 2510 show for us. Maybe one day we'll be doing a collab with them. So stay tuned for that, because when me and KJ met D-Jax, he was super nice. It was very brief. I wish it was a little bit longer. Because I'm going to try to leave it blank for Deshaun Jackson's signature, because D-Jax, if you ever watch this one right here is your buddy Macklin right there. So I got Macklin on one side. I want Deshaun Jackson on the other, the 2 receivers I grew up watching. And this was like a birthday gift I got when I was younger from him. He said, "Happy birthday" in an inscription. So got to get the dust off of it and keep it a little bit. But I don't want to tarnish the signature either. You know how it is. But come out, come support.
Right. Yeah, I got
That's all we got though for you guys. I know.
Wait, hold up. Wait, hold up. I got a special guest.
Go ahead and
look who it is. Look who it is. Back from Hershey.
We still hung over from Morgan Wallen, but we're going again tonight. So fuck it.
He walked back from Hershey Park.
They walked all the way back.
He couldn't get an Uber.
Yep, they walked all the way back. They did the whole Forrest Gump kind of thing. So that's what happened.
Did you walk back, Chris?
Fuck yeah, I did. No, my dad had to pick me up. We were waiting there for like an hour. It was awful.
Yep.
I was telling everybody about how bad that was. Concert, great. Concert was awesome. And if anybody's going to Morgan Wallen tonight, like Chris, number one, you guys have to get Chris to take a photo with you. So make him stop and take a picture because he's famous.
He is famous.
Make him take a selfie with you. And number two, the other thing I was going to say is be safe, have fun, guys, and enjoy.
Get a DD. Don't rely on an Uber.
Get a DD. Don't rely on Uber. You're going to get fucked if you do.
Yeah, seriously. So we'll catch you guys later. Thanks for joining in, and I hope you guys have a great rest of your day.
Chip Kelly sucks.
Yeah, that's right.
Maury.